And we are live. We had a few players missing this week, so we're actually going to be doing a one shot of a fun little game called InSpectres, where the players are going to be building their own Ghostbusters franchise, and they're going to try and solve some problems and probably fail horribly at it. Um, this is one of those systems where you actually can't fail or die per se, unless you want to. That is actually an option in the rules to have death optional. The
Just commit
def-
suicide.
I mean, if you got stressed enough. Um, but yeah, the default assumption for this game is that it is impossible to actually die. So things might get stressful or a little bit scary, but your characters can't actually permanently fail or die, and that there's nothing that can happen to your characters that some time on vacation and enough frozen margaritas can't fix. Um,
Yes.
so we've already put together your characters. We'll introduce them later. There's actually a section in the game for that. But let's go ahead and talk about your franchise.
Curses. Now I want a margarita.
I got some whiskey.
Let's see. I could have sworn that I pulled this chart out into my notes. Why did I not do that? Of all the things not to pull out. So let's just make a new page for it. Oh, did I put it in here actually? No, I did not. Okay. I made a section for it and I didn't put anything out. Alright, so we're going to go through a series of questions to determine what your franchise is like. So, how big is your franchise and how long have you been in operation?
About, I would say it's a pretty recent startup. A few months old, very little employees, maybe like 10.
Okay, perfect.
Is it just the three of us?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, should it only be 3?
I mean that's a question. Do you guys have a janitor? Do you guys have a receptionist? It's entirely possible it's just you three, but it's also possible that you've hired, a few other miscellaneous NPCs.
Um,
Do we want to say just
I don't
like
know.
10-ish, and then we can go from there?
Yeah, I think that sounds reasonable.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay. And then if we find out, we'll find out as we play what those employees are. So the next question: Are you the
We
main
should have
office?
like one guy that's like Gary or Jerry or something,
Yeah.
so we
Shut
can
up,
No
blame
one knows
Jerry.
what he
everything.
actually does. He
He's
just kind
just
of works
always
there.
wanting to be helpful, but he never
Right.
really is.
A mystery why
And
he
that
got hired.
and that's how we reduce stress. He's
Yeah.
like, I have an idea, and everybody's like, shut up, Jerry. And then we're
And nobody's even sure how Jerry ended up on the payroll.
Yeah.
He's there, but nobody
What does he
remembers
do? I
hiring
don't
him.
know.
It could
His
just end up that he is like some kind of supernatural entity of his own,
It's possible.
and he's only there because like he brainwashed us.
But yeah,
We should also have a Karen.
he's on the payroll as chief morale officer. He's the CMO. And then a Karen.
Yeah, Karen, she's just freaking angry all the time.
I saw a meme one time. It was like to all of the Karens and like a bunch of different names. It's like to all of you guys, I'm sorry for the way that TV has portrayed you. And then it was like, but to all of the Britneys, you get your shit.
Yeah, like, screw them.
All right. So then the next question is: Are you the main office, an established franchise, or a startup operation? Which I think we know the answer is that you're a startup.
Yeah.
So then where is your franchise located and how many people work there? So we know 10-ish already. But where are you located? So one thing that might be entertaining for those of you in Clovis would be if you were located somewhere around there.
Hmm.
Uh, But feel
that
free
makes
to
sense.
set yourselves wherever you'd like to be. Major metropolitan area, some random city out in the boondocks, coastal, mainland, whatever.
I'm thinking like outside San Fran in some backwards ass place that no one actually knows.
You're
Like a
in
wannabe
New York the
important.
state. You're in New York the state, but you're nowhere
Yeah,
near New York the city.
right.
We should be in Wattsville.
There we go. I'm
Oh
gonna make
dear
up
goodness.
lots of dumb racist stuff about your city name. But yeah, all
They're
right.
talking
So
about my hometown, by the way. Literally.
Oh
It's
my
called
god.
Whitesville.
Really?
Really.
all
It's like
right.
one of those little less than 2,000 people live there kinds of towns on the backside of New York's.
That's hilarious.
All right. So Whitesville, New York. So then, who runs the show? A board of directors or the agents themselves? So I think that's clearly agents in your case.
Yeah.
Um, do investors privately fund it, or did you max out all of your credit cards? So it sounds like y'all are going for VC funding.
Yeah, I wouldn't think we'd have like actual shareholders at that point.
Yeah.
It's probably just like a fund it ourselves.
Well, so the question is,
We had a GoFundMe.
Yeah, go fund me for it.
I love that so much.
Started out with that with the shake to charge battery.
So you're not even getting like venture capitalist funds. You actually just did like a GoFundMe under one name, and a Kickstarter under another name, and an Indiegogo under a third name. Pooled them all together, and that's how you got enough funds to start.
Yeah, we kept getting
Exactly.
banned from those sites, so we kind of just had to go to a different one.
And some days I played the violin on the street corner.
Yeah,
Yep.
make a couple bucks.
All right. What does your franchise look like, and what amenities does it feature?
Just run it from our garage.
So is it maybe an old estate that perhaps Wilhelm's family had? So it's a bit of a bigger estate, kind of older. You're out of like a barn in the back of the property that's always kind of leaking and gross.
And we have to use an outhouse. There's not even like a bathroom near the barn.
How,
It's
how,
like
true,
20 feet
how true to
away.
Whitesville do you want to keep this? Because there's
Guys,
no such
put
thing
the
as
dice
something
back.
like that there.
I just saw the dice all over the
Yeah,
board.
why are these here?
I'm beginning to regret this choice.
Who did that?
I don't know. It's fine for now. Eventually, it will matter where the dice are sitting. For now, it's fine.
How true to Whitesville do you want to keep this? Because I have an idea.
Sure,
Well,
go
tell
ahead.
us your idea.
There's a gas station there that started up like 7 times that never went anywhere, and the building is just like a favorite place for people to like spray paint and break windows. We could be in there.
Okay, so like this was your uncle's failed venture the last time. He's the owner, and then you got it in his estate after he disappeared under mysterious circumstances. And you've been trying to kind of fix it up.
Which I had nothing to do with.
For sure. So why doesn't Wilhelm give me a tech roll? Let's see how good these facilities are.
Tech, bro. Tech, bro.
I'm going to point out that he has a
So
1
tell
in
me
tech.
how these rolls work.
So you're going to roll a number of d6s equal to your pool. And then obviously if your skill is applicable, then you get a bonus of a single die. You can also spend points out of cool to add a die, which you don't have any cool points. And eventually, once your dice are assigned for your franchise, then you can spend out of the appropriate card. So for now, it's going to be your 1d6 from your tech, plus if you can spin your bookworm or book learning or whatever you ended up calling it.
And what
To
was it I was
be
rolling
applicable.
for again?
This gas station that you guys are based in. So it's your uncle died under mysterious circumstances. You have gained this failed gas station in his estate, and so you are now owners of it. But we're going to determine how good this gas station actually is based on your die roll.
Well, there were a couple of business courses I took while I was at university.
I mean, I would take more along the lines of you were able to get the most out of the estate. You were able to dodge
Mm.
some tax loopholes or something like that, based off of your extensive book knowledge. And get more out of whatever it is. So perhaps there was extra money to fix up the gas station. Something like that would make sense. So I'll give you a bonus die. So roll 2d6s. We're going to take the highest result, and that's going to be your roll for this skill chart. Speaking of, Evan, if you on the top right, there's the tab that looks like a couple of speech bubbles. That's the chat. In the chat, you should have a quick welcome to Roll20 with some explanations of things you can do in the chat. One of which is rolling. So if you do just /R and then the how many dice you want to roll plus a D,
2 dice and
then the size of the dice. So like if you wanted to roll 2 6-sided dice, that would be 2d6. So it would be /R space 2d6. That would roll 2d6s. And that's just the standard notation for die sizes. We're only using d6s in this game, but for example, a 20-sided die would be called a d20. Yeah, you got it. So it looks like you got a 4. So
we rolled the same thing,
except in the opposite order. It's like your twins. A good twin and an evil twin.
but opposite.
All right, that's why I said a good twin and an evil twin. So
And no one knows which is which.
Yet. So that with a 4, you get fair. So you get to describe a mostly positive result of your action, but you must include a negative or humorous effect.
And this pertains to what exactly?
The gas station. So
gas
describe
station,
to
like
me
how
this
well it
gas
did.
station that you guys are in, but you need to include a negative or a humorous effect. Not you, Evan.
I was gonna say, I'm like, what? I don't know.
Dwayne, if
Hold on, just
He's
thinking for a
thinking.
second.
There's smoke
Okay.
coming out his ear.
I got it.
Okay.
So we were able to mostly get the building up and running and looking fine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything works in perfect order, except that when you flush the toilets, it's gasoline, not water in the toilets.
Or let's say it's partially gasoline. It's not enough. It's not like pure gasoline, but it's enough that there are like bad gas fumes at all times in the bathrooms. And
So we have to
basically
put
using
no
the
smoking
bathroom,
signs
you
in the
get a
bathroom.
horrible headache.
Just your health is in danger while you're there.
And there's like a huge "Do Not Smoke" sign painted across the door because if anyone lights up in there, the whole thing's gonna blow.
Spontaneous
Which
combustion.
sucks because like half the guys that work in our office, or half the people that work in our office, smoke.
Yeah. There's been a few minor explosions already in various places around the gas station.
Which is expensive.
So the bathroom itself is kind of scored.
Mm-hmm.
Scored.
And is it up and running to the degree that like you are also part-timing as a gas station to kind of bring in a little extra cash?
That seems like a good idea to me.
Okay.
So long as the sewage doesn't end up in the gas, I guess.
It's Whitesville. No one will notice the difference. So, are you the only InSpectres franchise in the area? I would assume yes.
Yeah, there's not much else.
Or is there like out in the boonies somewhere a family of rednecks who are your competition?
It's right across the street.
Yeah, they're across the street. They're in like a Cracker Barrel franchise, and they double as
Right,
also inspectors.
right across the border in Pennsylvania, there is another gas station that is also a slaughterhouse. Oh, I was talking about like the actual Whitesville.
How close is that? Is that enough to be? Is that close enough to be your competition in the area?
Yeah, Genesee's where everybody got their gas, bro.
Nice. So slaughterhouse and slash inspectors slash gas station. And then what is this? What is this group? Is it like a family group? Is it similar to you, a random startup?
Family owned.
Okay. And what is their last name? Wiggly?
Reed.
Reed? Okay. Cool. It's the Reeds.
No,
They's Pennsylvania.
Reeves.
Reeve?
Reeves.
Reeves.
Reev.
Yep. All right. It's the Reeves. They's from Pennsylvania, and they don't like your kind much. You big city folk. Um. So then, what kind of gear do you have access to?
Are you asking me or all of us?
It's all of these are group questions.
I
I mean, it
How
sounds
would
like
we know what type of gear we could have access to?
yeah, I was gonna
um,
ask that.
it's whatever you want to describe, but then we're going to do a tech roll to determine how good it actually is. Um, So it could be anything from secret military plans that you've stolen to crazy, wacko, fringe science doodads that Cruz has put together based off of his, nonsense Russian training. It could be witch magic nonsense that Rebecca's character, whose name I've forgotten already, Lavina, has brought back from her travels to Africa. It's whatever you want it to be. It could be a mixture of all of those.
I think we should have access to some Russian military hardware.
Okay. So Cruz, you're still buds with your pal up there, Mr. Putin.
Yeah, I knew some people in the Kremlin.
And you still have access to some military hardware, and we're able to call in a few favors. So let's get a tech roll from Cruz and see what kind of stuff you're looking at.
Is Cruz Russian?
Yes.
Russian. So what role should I have here?
I mean, how is he not Russian with a name like Cruz Rigi?
Like he's just like English.
Yeah. So if you gave yourself 3 on your tech, and then what was your ability?
I don't know if I really ever went over.
Skills. So I think for your talent slash skill, we went with a never say die attitude.
Right.
So do you think that is applicable in this situation?
I mean, not really sure to be honest.
I mean, it's up to you. If you can come up with a reason for it to be applicable, then you get a bonus die. It's entirely up to you to make that call on, if you think you can make a case for it.
I don't know if it'd really be applicable for that.
Okay. So then you're gonna roll 3d6s. All right. So another roll of 4. So fair, mostly positive, but describe a downside, or something humorous about it.
This is hard to think of a reason.
I mean, it could be that you got the hardware, but you got it through like some shady arms dealers that are now
I
breathing
think,
down your neck.
yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, got some military hardware, but turns out that you're in fact in debt to a Russian mafia of sorts, and the equipment is also not actually up to military spec and has some issues with it.
Perfect. Does anyone else want to bring some gear to the table?
Could I have called in some favors with my friends at Miskatonic U?
Sure. What
Because I'm assuming I have some.
Yeah. I mean, presumably it's Miskatonic. You can't be a weirdo there and not make friends. There's a lot of weirdos there.
Yeah. Yeah. So would that be like a connections roll?
It depends. So I would let you spin it either as connections or as your academics, because you are coming at
Ooh,
this from the
I know.
point of an academic talking to other
I've
academics.
convinced some of my old teachers that I can use this business to help do research for them on supernatural beings.
Okay. And what kind of gear are you getting hold of?
Just your usual ghost hunting equipment. Things that you can help you find protoplasm or whatever
Okay, so like
we'd be
research
looking for.
equipment, scientific tools, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Okay, so let's get a academics roll.
I'm aiming
Let's
for a bit of a laboratory here.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, you put the
so I roll.
you put the lab with all the test tubes and the spinny gear thingies right where the hot dog warmer used to be.
Just turn the hot dog spinner into a centrifuge.
Exactly.
Okay, so
So let's get
4d6 is
Yep.
what I'd roll since I'm using. Okay,
Unless you'd like to try and explain how your book learning gets you a bonus in this, and then you can roll 5 dice.
hmm.
So, for example, maybe you convinced them by writing a research paper.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wrote a research paper, and I used stuff that we already had discovered during our work, but a lot of it was just made up. I'm just really good at bullshitting.
Okay. Perfect. So go ahead and roll me 5d6s. Alrighty. So taking the highest, it looks like you got a 6. So that means you get to describe the result. And if this were actually after you had received a job, you'd be gaining 2 franchise dice, but unfortunately, not in this case. So go ahead and explain to me how everything went amazingly well with this.
Well, it turns out that the dean of the College of Science at Miskatonic U read my paper, and he was so impressed with it that he gave me basically an entire laboratory's worth of equipment and a lab tech to come along and help out.
Okay, is that is that what's her name? Karen?
Yeah, there we go. It's Karen. She doesn't like having to go all the way from her nice little town in
Arkham?
Arkham, you know, in her happy little coastal village,
Mm-hmm.
Now she has to go be in the middle of Podunksville, and that's why she's a grumpy Karen.
That's right. All right, so you got Karen the lab tech into the deal. Perfect. And then Lavina, are you bringing any gear to the group? Perhaps, because another piece of the gear, the next part of that question would be also your transportation. did Lavina bring some sort of transportation? Maybe she travels around in like a Winnebago, or I don't know.
I like the Winnebago. I like that one. Let's try for that. I only have one die, but we'll try.
Let's see, and then do you want to try and perhaps bring your people skills into this?
My what?
Your
People
skills. Yeah,
Well,
to get a bonus die.
I'm sure I talked the salesperson down a lot because I'm, really cute and sweet and.
All right, perfect. All right, give me a 2d6. Let's see what you got. Nice, a 5. So you get to describe the result, and you would gain 1 franchise die if we were actually on a job at this point. So go ahead and describe to me this Winnebago.
Why do I feel like we're getting all the good rolls out now and we're gonna suck?
I don't doubt you.
You planned it this way, you jerk.
Yeah, because that's how dice work. They're not random. They actually start good and get bad, or start bad and get good.
Yep.
So a couple years ago, my Volkswagen bus broke down. Finally, poor thing was only like 100 years old or something, and I've been saving up. So I go to the Winnebago, trailer show thing, and I'm looking around, and I find this really cute van. I mean, it's not cute. It's black, just like all the other ones. But it's, exactly the model our GM has been showing me and
the
stuff.
Travato. The question is, do you have a Travato G or a Travato K?
I don't know. That's a good question for the salesperson.
Okay, well then let's play it. Welcome, ma'am, to where are you? Where are you buying this? California RV show? Some other country?
Let's do the Colorado RV show because we've kind of been there.
All right.
And I mean that's close-ish, comparatively to the rest of the world.
So you're at the Colorado RV show. Huge building, tons of RVs everywhere. You've always kind of been interested in the Travato brand, and so that's one of these sections that you check out. And you get there, and there is this guy, very cute, probably mid-20s, maybe pushing 30s. He's wearing a great big white cowboy hat, cowboy boots, spurs, the whole thing. And he's just got that like weather-worn, outdoorsy cowboy look to him, like someone who definitely spends some time outdoors and loves that sort of adventure in nature. And he is kind of standing over there. He's got a name tag on him. He's one of the staff for Winnebago. His name is Jeff.
Is he a killer?
My name's Jeff.
So he spots you kind of eyeing up a few of the vans. So you're going for a Class B, it sounds like, which is the van-sized ones, not the great big RVs.
Yeah, definitely a van, not something huge.
Okay. He says, "Well, howdy, ma'am. Would you be interested in getting a tour of one of these here fine vehicles?"
Oh, that would be just perfect.
Alrighty. Well, we have a few different offerings here at Travato, ranging from your high end. We actually, one of our highest ends we just released this last year is the Bolt. It is an all-season vehicle, meaning that it is insulated and warm to where you can have it out all year round.
That would be good because I'm in my van a lot.
Yes, yeah, I understand that. I love to take my dogs up into the mountains for extended skiing trips. Sometimes I'll do some cross-country hiking on snowshoes. It is a grand time up there, and I do not want to be worried about my pipes freezing up and splitting. So I'm definitely very, very in agreement with you there. So this one here, it's only got one floor plan. It's similar to the Travato K if you've ever seen it before. And so he brings you inside. You've got an open area in the front. The kitchen is directly across from the door, which is on the right side of the vehicle. The driver's seats are both in the front. They swivel around backward, give you a little extra space. You can sit here. You got a little table you can set up, and he takes a table and kind of flips it out, slots it in, and shows you. And this is
fancy shit.
Yeah, it's a great little working space. I actually, when I'm not doing shows and different things, I often work from the road. I help coordinate some of our social media efforts here. So all I need is a connection to the internet, and I'm good to go. So I'll bring like a mobile hotspot with me, and I'm just out there in nature, man, just enjoying the shit out of that stuff. Shouldn't use language around customers. Excuse me, ma'am. But if you know what I'm saying, I'm just very passionate about these kinds of things.
Dude, I'd just be looking at this salesman like, what the fuck?
Oh, yeah, definitely understand that. I'm on the road a lot myself, working, wherever I happen to be.
Yeah. And then here we have a kitchen. It's got a full gas stove. We've got a microwave. I don't go in for microwaving my food much, but it's helpful out there if you want to warm up a frozen hot dog or something. I would definitely suggest getting a mobile grill or something. That's what I use most of the time. And then there's plenty of workspace. We've got a galley-style sink, so it's got a cover on it. It doubles as a counter space. We've got some storage over here. He points to some closets. Here in the back, you can see that there is a small hallway between two sofas. Those sofas actually transform into two twin beds, or you can set up a centerpiece and make one full-size kind of queen bed. It's a little longer than an actual queen, but it's about that size. And then here in the back, we have a wet bath. So you can see the toilets in there, and the shower at the same time. But our system is designed so there's no wood, nothing can rot in here. It's got a nice bamboo floor mat. You just close the curtain on there, and there's just like a solid piece that actually like slides around and closes the door. And then you can shower in there, do your business. We got a mirror. We got a sink. You can see that there is a sump pump, so that means you will need to turn this on in order to empty the sink, unfortunately. But based on the position of our water tank, that's required because we have to keep it above the floorboards in order to have the 4-season ability. So
I'm surprised you didn't just call the bathroom the shitter.
Trying to be professional here.
Yeah, I try. I do try. I apologize for earlier. Yeah. So this is one of our newer ones. It's got the lithium systems already built into it. So you got a battery power that actually charges directly right off of the engine. There's no need for an external or secondary generator. Everything just goes off the engine. So this one runs about $200,000.
Oh, is that it?
It is one of their nicer models.
So, God, how much money did my role afford me?
Well, you always have a credit card with a big credit limit.
So the question is, do you want 4-season? And do you care? The other option I was going to have him show you are the two Travatos. They're not 4-season. They have all of the other amenities that he described. The difference is the Travato has 2 floor plans. It has the K, like I described, so it's got the 2 beds, which can either be made into 2 twin beds or into a single queen bed. Or the G, which has I don't know what they're called, but it's a bed that actually folds up into the wall and then folds down in the back, and that's one large queen-sized bed. And then in the front, you can make up another kind of like oversized twin bed out of the area
given that
doubles as like
I'm
a
headed
kitchen dining room.
north, and I live in my van, I'm kind of thinking 4 seasons would be preferable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the other option is we just pretend that Travato had the G floor plan in a bolt. If you prefer that floor plan. So the nice thing about the G is it's a little more cordoned off. You have kind of like a work / eating / entertaining space where you have like your television and some seating, and you can spin the chairs around and everyone's around kind of a table. Then in the middle, you've got the kitchen area, and then in the back, you've got the bathroom and the sleeping area. While with the K, it's all one kind of long area where you start in the front with the kitchen area, and then you basically have 2 sofas that are actually also the beds, and then the very back is a bathroom.
Let's go with pretending that the 4 season one has the G floor plan.
All right. And so then this one over here is our G floor plan. It's a little more built into different areas for different purposes. It's actually got a little bit more sleeping area because our area in the front here, this kind of dining room work area, it's got this nice table and sofa, and you can just spin the driver's seat around and be right there at the table to work on whatever you're doing. But then that also transforms into a bed if you have guests, if you want to make a bed for your dog, whatever you got going on.
I'll take 3.
And then a little bit of flirtation and stuff ensues. And afterward, he's like, you know what? You seem like the kind of passionate outdoors woman that I can really, really just want to see in one of our Travatos. You've got this great Instagram presence. I think you could be just a really great promoter for us on social media. So if you'd be willing to tag us in your posts and to be a promoter, I can actually put you down as one of our social media advocates, and I can get you a real good deal here.
I can definitely do that. Hashtags are the easiest thing to add.
Alrighty. Let me just draw up some paperwork, and we will get you rolling out of here with one of these today.
That would be perfect.
Comes with an empty gas tank.
No, she rolled to where there's no downsides.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But yeah, so you got the Bolt, which is spelled BOLDT. And yeah, so that's what you bring in, is the Bolt. You got the State Parks Edition, which has some like really nice decals on it. It's got an extra port on the outside for an external solar panel, plus 2 solar panels on the top, so it has more solar capacity than the standard edition. You're just pimped out and ready to go. He got you all the options. You got the fancy cabinets and all that.
Yes.
So how did we redecorate this Travato Bolt for ghost hunting?
I mean, did we actually redecorate it for ghost hunting?
It's the Winnebago Volt. The Travato is one of their other vehicles. Sorry. That's a good question. So you came in, and this is now the vehicle that kind of you guys use to respond to calls, especially the ones that are further out that require a couple of days of travel. So has it been redesigned at all? I mean, obviously you've got to make some space for all of your wacky ghost catching equipment.
Yeah, we just removed the bathroom. All we put on there to save space is some ghost hunting equipment, so a room for it. And then on the outside, we have Who Do You Want to Call on it as a livery.
Nice.
Or who are you going to call?
We should actually keep the bathroom so that people can use that bathroom instead of the one full of...
So, I mean, the van is on the I forget the name of the chassis. It's dang it. Uh, uh, what's Mercedes? It's on the Mercedes chassis.
Mm,
Have you been
So
looking into buying one of these? Because you know way too much about this.
I mean, not a Bolt, but a Travato, absolutely. Yeah, so the Bolt is on the Mercedes-Benz chassis and is actually capable of hauling a decent amount. So you could have a trailer. Additionally, there is room. There are rails on the roof to mount like one of those big cargo bubble things.
I'm thinking trailer because I am a short girl. I'm probably like 4'6". So
Okay.
I don't know if I can reach the top of my van.
No, not even I could. But there is a ladder that you can position wherever you want. It's stored on the back, but then you can place it wherever you need to on the side of the van to climb up on top.
I'm still thinking trailer because then we don't have to worry about hitting stoplights or low bridges.
All right, so you guys have a trailer. Maybe the trailer is what's decorated with who you want to call and all that stuff. Because
Glorious.
it sounds like you might be a little bit protective of your Bolt.
Well, I mean, I was hired as the receptionist, not the chauffeur. This is my house.
So there, if anyone is curious,
It's the most beautiful fucking thing I've ever seen.
that is the National Park edition of. This is not the Bolt. This is the Travato, but still.
Now, mine's probably got like more advertising because it has to have advertising in all of the pictures I post on social media. But
yeah, it's got just a few extra Winnebago logos across it in different places, and then a couple inside as well.
I think I saw the Bolt. I think I saw one of those in Santa Rosa the last time we were there. It has like a bunch of slide outs and stuff on it.
The Bolt has no slide outs and is actually not for sale yet, so it's impossible to sell one.
Okay. I saw something that was like Bolt or Volt or I don't know, something.
Yeah, it might be.
But it was interesting looking.
Yeah, there's a different Class B that they have that has a slide out. It's only one, but they do have one. The Bolt is actually just brand new. They just announced it. Alrighty. So that covers all of our information on your resources and transportation. So luckily you will not be, taking public transportation to go find Count Dracula and stab him through the heart with a stake. So then, do you guys have a specialty? Ghost, vampires, demons, cryptozoology, extraplanar demons, great old ones? It's also possible you don't, but do you have a specific area that you specialize in?
Sith Lords. No, I'm just kidding.
So what are your characters most interested in when it comes to hunting down these supernatural or paranatural phenomena?
The leaders of the supernatural world, old ghouls and such.
Okay, so things like the oldest and strongest of the creatures.
Right, the leaders of.
Okay.
Yes.
And obviously, you haven't managed to actually find or capture any.
Yeah, we suck at it.
But that's what you want. Is you would like to be going after those sorts of things.
Exactly.
Okay, perfect. So that is your franchise. So with that figured out, now we're going to assign your franchise cards. So as a new startup, you're going to have a small number of franchise dice to add to your cards. So if you look on the play area, Your franchise cards are the three along the very top. You've got your library card, your credit card, and your gym card. Library card is going to give you a bonus to academics rolls. Credit card can be used to give you a bonus to tech rolls, and your gym card can be used to give you a bonus to athletics rolls. The more dice you start off with, the more established you're assumed to be, and then also the more difficult the missions you're going to end up with are. So, as a new group, you probably have about 10 dice. Do you guys want to try and make the case for any more than that? Okay. So then you have 10 franchise dice. Those are going to be these red dice down here. You can put them in any three of the cards or in the bank. If you put them on one of the cards, then those funds are going to be guaranteed that you can get to them. If you put them in the bank, then it's possible you may not be able to get to them, but they can also be used on any roll. It doesn't matter what it is, or any of your skills, I should say. And that's this standard bank. So how would you guys like to how would you guys like to divide up your 10 dice?
I mean, I'd say quite a bit should go in probably relatively equally library card and credit card. I don't know about athletics.
Is athletics like how likely you're going to be to run away from a horrible beast?
Yeah, no, if you were trying to run away from something awful, or break open a door, or lift fallen rubble off of a teammate, any of those sorts of things would be athletics.
Well, probably some.
Don't worry about me, 'tis but a flesh wound. No! Save yourself!
'Tis but a flesh wound.
I mean, if you want to just distribute it fairly evenly, you could put 3 in each of your cards and 1 in the bank.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that. Could do,
Aren't we all pretty weak?
That's what I thought. Like, so maybe less in, like, athletics.
Or actually, that means you would want more in athletics to overcome your.
Oh, well, I mean, okay, you can think
I
of it
have
that way.
3 in athletics, so that's not bad.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is even. I don't know if we want to redistribute that.
Yeah, let's just put the 1 in the bank.
Okay.
That'll be fine.
Yeah, so you want to do 3 in each card and 1 in the bank. That sounds good to me.
I think so.
GM is like, that sounds good to me. Everybody's like, rethink it, rethink
it! Dun dun dun. Cool. So yeah, that's going to be fairly average for a startup. Is just 10 dice, and then you've distributed them evenly, so you're going to be hopefully set up for whatever you want. Anyone can spend off of any of these 3 cards. Like I said, those are guaranteed to work, and then the bank can be used on anything, but it's possible it can fail. So when you roll it, I'm actually going to check the result against a bank table, and then based on its result, things could go very differently. So, for example, on a roll of 1, you ignore all the results and you of your other dice, and you lose all dice in the bank. On a 2, you lose the die that you rolled and another, if possible. On a 3, you just lose the die that you spent. On a 4, you also just lose the die that you spent. On a 5, you actually get to put the die back in the bank, so you can use it again, because you gained interest on it. And then on a 6, you actually gain compounded interest, which means that you get to add the die plus a second die back into the bank. So it's kind of a risk and reward spending out of the bank. So with your dice out of the way, we've already kind of figured out your officers. So we've got Cruz as the CEO. We've got Wilhelm as the CIO, and Lavina, what is your position?
Secretary, manager of human resources, and apparently chauffeur.
Hell yeah.
So you're the CHRO, Chief Human Resources Officer.
I guess.
Everybody's a chief something. Even Bill, the guy who has to try to clean out the gasoline toilet and mop the floors, is the CSO, the Chief Sanitation Officer.
Poor Bill.
I mean,
Hey, I'm Bill too.
there's a reason that your rivals over there in Pennsylvania hate you guys. Is because you big city folk and your big words, your $2 words. Um, so I think we're actually pretty much ready to go with that out of the way. So yeah, you guys actually already got a little bit of how the game mechanics work. So any other new mechanics I'll bring up as we get to them. I guess the only other thing that I talked to Evan about, but I don't know if everyone was on, is a little bit about the structure of the game. So this game is a combination of like Ghostbusters and reality television. So the idea is generally that you guys are being filmed for a show like, Cops, or one of those other reality TV shows, The Biggest Loser, um, where you're going out and you're doing your thing, you're doing your job, you're being filmed while doing it, but then there are also these confessionals interspersed within, which is the
Oh,
thing
cool! We
in.
get to do the talking heads thing.
Yeah, pretty much. So in
Cool.
these confessionals, this is where, in a reality TV show, it would cut to just a person talking directly to the camera without the rest of the cast. And they can shed some light on the situation. They can foreshadow something that's coming up. They can talk about the other characters, whatever it is. And because the idea is that these confessionals are filmed after the fact, they don't have to align with the actual timeline of everything else that's going on. Because this is basically something, it's already happened, it's already been filmed, and then some guy edited it together and put it out as an episode. So all of this that's happening has actually happened in the past already. And then your confessionals could be anything from like, oh man, Lavina was just flirting with the busboy again, and I hate it when she does that. It makes me so mad because I'm totally not in love with her, at least not that I'm going to admit, and to something else like, went into that room and it was all quiet, too quiet. We thought we were going to be fine, but oh boy, were we in
So
for
just
a
like
surprise.
commentary on the scene or whatnot.
Exactly. And anyone can call at pretty much any time for one of these. There's only a few rules around the confessionals. So the rules are you have to address the other players as if they were watching the confessional on television. So, of course, only one person can talk at a time during a confessional because it's just them. And then address them, like I said, like a confessional. Just try to imagine one of those shows. It cuts to a person being like, yeah, that was a day, all right. And Bill was just not making it any better. That kind of a thing. Second rule, confessionals should always add to the story and to the game. They should never negate or detract from the game. So in keeping with the improvisational rules of yes and, you don't want to use it to be like, I'm going to squash some other person's idea. They just did the thing, and then I'm like, but that didn't actually happen. Instead, it should add to the story. Third rule, only one player can give a confessional per scene. Scenes are kind of like not a really very well defined idea, so basically it's up to me as the GM to decide if it's a new scene or not. And then each player can only give and receive one characteristic per scene. So the way this works is if you want to actually add a characteristic to another's player, that you can do so. Like, for example, if you wanted to establish that Cruz, even though he kind of acts a bit like a tough guy with his Russian accent, he's actually super into K-pop. or is like really flirtatious but bad at it, or whatever. You can, in the confessionals, you can establish that about someone else, and then if that gets established about them, they note it down on their sheet, and then they have to role play that characteristic for the rest of the game. They can ignore it for future games if they don't like it, but they have to keep that characteristic for that game at least. And then you can only give one, and you can only receive one. So you're not going to end up with like 5 new things, and you're like, oh my gosh, what has happened to my character? So those are the 4 rules of a confessional. Otherwise, anytime you want to have a confessional, just speak up, and I will actually probably at times prompt for confessionals, because I know this is a new way of playing for you guys. So I'm going to try and encourage that. But remember, you are establishing like actual things, so have fun with it. Establish facts about the world, things that happened, add complications and interest to the story. The whole thing is supposed
So we
to be...
just lost our one-off thing. This is definitely going to continue.
I mean, this is up to you guys. If we ever want to play this again, but this is a good one to just pick up when we have days like this, where we're just like, we need something to play. And then we just draw these characters back in if we want to play this again.
Cool.
So that's the confessionals. I think that's about all. So we're ready to actually start the game. So the way that the game is going to start is we're going to have kind of an introduction. And so there are a few ways that it could be done. Either an employee screening. So we could have like the interview for bringing on Rebecca's character, Lavina, whose name I will eventually remember without having to look it up. We could do an investor meeting, which in this case I think would actually be you guys describing your various Kickstarter, GoFundMe, Indiegogo, etc. campaigns, and like the video that you pitch that you give. Or we can do a media interview, which would mean like something's already happened, like you caught some big ghost and you're being interviewed. I'm thinking that's not as much of an option, so I'm going to leave it up to you guys. Do you want to do the interview process for Lavina? Still can remember it. Lavina. Or do you guys want to describe your campaigns to get funded?
I don't know. Either or, I guess.
Okay. Well, if no one's going to pick one, I'm going to say let's talk about your GoFundMe page. So why don't you guys go ahead and start? What is your pitch? What did you put on that video that sits at the top of the page that talks about why everyone should give you money?
Are you bored with your old reality TV, watching the same thing over and over again, girl screams, drama? Well, if you fund us, you will have a brand new entertainment where we will not only find the ghosts, we will show it to you.
All right, and then Cruz walks in and says, as CEO,
I think it's a fantastic idea.
Well, that's helpful for our video.
Come on, you got that
CEO
never
just
say
comes
die
in and
attitude.
like, yeah. Look, we will never fail to show you guys the real biz. Which I don't freaking know, dude. I don't know where I'm going with it.
And then we cut to this really musty-looking library, and Wilhelm looks up from a book, coughs a couple of times as clouds of dust explode from his lungs, and then says,
What the hell are you doing with that camera in my library?
And then the narrator says, the best experts, the smartest, bookiest people we could find. So booky, they even breathe book dust and don't notice. Plus the hot girl and the CEO with the Russian accent that you just can't get enough of. And that hot, sweet beard. Oh yeah, everybody loves a good hipster beard. Come in for And then what is your show called?
Tune in next week for
Nah. Doesn't make any sense at all.
Tune in next week for
The Whitesville Ghosts.
for Meh, the show about Whitesville ghosts, and hear more of my dulcet tones. If we reach our second funding level, I'll even record "Oh yeah" and send it to your answering machine so that you can use that on all your friends. All right. So you guys amazingly somehow get funded with that.
Wait. Our top tier donors, our top tier, whatever you want to call it, get to have dinner with.
There we go. Yeah, let's do that. So what do you get at the $10 backing level?
A personal 10-minute phone call for advice.
With who?
Your own startup. So for me, the CEO.
Nice. You spent
give
like
you
the
brilliant
first
advice.
you spent the first month of your franchise starting up just answering all those calls because at the $10
Exactly.
level, that was a lot of people. So what do you get at the $50 level?
A book of esoteric knowledge signed by the librarian.
And then, of course, it's actually just an old Call of Cthulhu comic book. And then
There we go.
Wilhelm got lazy, and he just put a pen on the beak of one of those water drinking birds.
It's a complete ripoff.
So then, what do you have at your $100 level?
You become an employee.
And a few people did sign up for that level. A lot more people paid the $100, but declined the reward. And then at the $1,000 level, is that the dinner with Laviana or Lavina?
Can't I just record like some bullshit ASMR personalized video or something?
Go. You're gonna say their name in an ASMR video that you post on your YouTube channel. And so you did like an hour-long.
They don't even get their own video. It's just a half hour of you saying all their.
Oh yeah, it's just an hour of you being like, and Charles Montanet. Just getting real close to that mic, crinkling some paper, whispering, sultry.
And your whole face isn't in the video. It's just from your mouth down. Yep. So that they can get a good look at that cleavage. Because that's not what they're there for. But, it's a bonus.
Alrighty. And that's where most of your backers were. That was actually how you actually were able to fund it, was the people who went for the $1,000 level.
Basically, all of our funding came from people wanting the girl. Like all true Kickstarters.
So Lavina has become the official face for the group. Even though Cruz is the CEO.
Exactly.
All right. So now that we kind of know about your franchise, let's get you a job. So do you guys want to make up some details or roll it randomly?
I think we should roll randomly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's not what I wanted. Here we go. Let's start with the personality. So somebody roll 2d6s. Okay, Rebecca, roll 2d6s.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. All right, so we got a 9. Okay. And Evan, roll 2d6s.
Right.
Okay, 6. And Wayne, 2d6s. Okay, another 9. Perfect. And then I'll just do the last pair of d6s. And a 3. All right. Wayne, what notable bodies of water are near Whitesville?
How near do you want to know?
It's up to you. Tell me something interesting.
The Finger Lakes, where all the wine festivals and stuff happen, are about 2 hours away.
Perfect. All right. So you guys are busily working away, trying to square away the last few things. You've already fulfilled most of your deals. There's still a few phone calls that Cruz needs to make, and a whole lot of complaints to Wilhelm about the quality of his esoteric knowledge and signature. Um, but you guys are there when you receive a phone call. So I would imagine Lavina is the one who picks that up.
Yellow.
Are you? I forgot the name of your show already.
I don't know. It was
all
like
right, it was
Whitesville Ghosts.
It was like or we need a real name, guys. All right, what's the name of your show?
M Whitesville Ghosts.
Okay.
MM.
And it actually it stands for Many Monstrous Whitesville Ghosts.
There we go.
But it's just called Look. Is what you guys generally go by. Or maybe should we do a backronym? So like something that spells out the word ghost, or maybe it's I don't know, what else would there be? Spectre, but it actually spells something out.
Going hard on spectral tracking.
Perfect. Perfect. All right, Ghost is the name of your show. At least that's what it's known as, because most people don't want to say going hard on spectral tracking, because that just sounds like someone who has just a little bit too strong of technophilia. And yeah, so he just goes, "Oh, is this Ghost that I've reached?"
Hell yeah.
What can we do for you today?
Did Cruz pick up on the other line?
Just also
Cruz, you're
came
supposed
in
to
on
be
the call.
finishing your phone calls.
Good. I'm so glad. You see, there's been a haunting. I'm from the Finger Lakes. I run a small wine shop. We have a great wine festival up here, and well, you see, the leftover wine sometimes it spoils, and we dump it into the lakes, and well, there's one of the lakes that's actually been completely colored blood red by the blood red wine that we pour into it, and there's
Isn't
been
that like illegal?
You're supposed to be answering calls, I thought. Strange man I don't recognize. I'm talking to the nice young lady. Get off the line. Anyway, there's been a haunting. You see, something horrible's happened there. People are hearing strange howls and horrible wailing noises, and bright lights have been showing up in the area. We need a specialist to come down here and to take care of it. Can you help me?
Well, I've taken down all the information you've given me, and we should be out there in about 3 hours.
Great!
Please
I'm
stay
looking forward to it. Yes, and you! And he hangs up.
I think he's just tripping balls.
That's not helpful.
All right. Yep, you guys just got a job. So that brings us to the first phase of a job, which is to say, it's not called research. It's something like research. No, it is research slash investigation. So if you'd like to do any research beforehand, also the job has officially started. So now any successes of 5 or 6 will add to your overall completion of the task. Speaking of, your task in this case is going to be 20 dice. So you need to get 20 franchise dice added to that big $ circle to succeed at this mission.
Cool.
So, yeah, you guys are on the research phase. If you'd like to do anything before actually getting there, so any books you need to read up on, any gear that you want to get together, all that sort of stuff. And then also, once you arrive, you can do some further investigation. Following that is going to be your suiting up. This is where you actually get in your gear and get ready to go. So this is where you procure the necessary equipment. Then field work, you actually go out and solve the mystery, take care of the problem, whatever. And then cleanup and vacation, it follows. So let's start with research and investigation. So you're going to be researching the problem and or location and come up with a plausible explanation.
So Lavina is gonna go kind of not quite skipping, not quite sauntering off to the library, where she lays the sheet of information on Wilhelm,
Yes, that would be
Jawohl.
his desk, and she kind of just like sits on his desk, and she's like, "Well, it looks like you got some research to do. I'm gonna be off and update our CEO, whose name I can totally pronounce. And
call
we'll be
me
back
Cruz.
once you've got some books ready for us. Just don't ask me to read them."
Alrighty.
I'm like, an opportunity to read!
So, what do you do based off of the information that you have on this strange haunting?
I'm going to look into the effects of wine on water.
That would make
All
sense.
you can find is Jesus Christ references.
I was gonna say.
Just Google it and like it's all that comes up.
Yeah, it's just Jesus
damn
turning water
it!
into wine. That's all you can find. But let's get a roll.
Okay.
So that would be your academics. Obviously, I feel
Yeah,
like your book smarts are going to feed into this.
I'm trying to figure out if it would be better for me to look into the Finger Lakes. Nah, I'll look into the water and wine thing, because that seems kind of suspicious.
Okay. So like
So
I
I
said,
just use my academics?
and I would say that your book learning definitely applies in this instance. So that'll give you that extra bonus die. Sweet, sweet bonus die. All right. So, as a 6, why don't you dictate to me what you're able to find?
Don't forget to add our dicey things to the pool or whatever.
Oh yes, and as a 6, you get 2 franchise dice. So, bam.
Let's see.
So one of the things that you do come across initially is obviously Jesus turning water into wine. But then as you look a little deeper into the whole Jesus connection and wine and red lakes, you find a lot of symbolism that connects red wine and blood. So if you want to roll from there. Want to give it some time? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna postulate that that they've conjured up some kind of a blood-related entity.
Okay, so you think possibly it's some sort of conjuration magic, whether intentional or otherwise.
Right.
Okay. Possibly a blood secretor. one of the demons of corn.
Khorne, I presume.
Korn, I believe.
Oh,
No, I'll
okay.
have to look that up to be sure.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, something along those lines sounds about right.
Yeah,
I
you
know
were
what
right.
I'm doing.
Khorne. You were right. I knew it started with a K. That's all I could remember for sure. Korn, also called the Blood God and the Lord of Skulls. He's one of
I
the.
also make a note that there have been many Bigfoot sightings in the area, just because it's interesting.
All right. So then, Lavina, you were heading down to talk to Cruzriti.
Yes. So I'm gonna peek in the door and see if he's actually on the phone like he's supposed to be or not.
What is Cruzriti actually doing? Because it can't be what he's supposed to be doing.
Kind of just sitting at my desk, brainstorming, trying to contact some of my previous contacts at the Kremlin and see if they've seen anything of the sorts.
Well, you hung up before he finished his description.
You right.
So did you? So well, or, I don't know. I don't remember exactly when you hung up. Maybe you did catch part of it, or maybe you didn't really hang up. Maybe you just said the word "click" and then stopped talking.
Yes.
Just like totally disinterested.
Okay, so you're reaching out to your contacts at the Kremlin. So clearly that's going to be a contacts roll.
Yeah.
And then
Beyond that,
do you think your specialty applies here? Probably not. But like I
I
said, I'm
don't
always open to you
think
telling me.
again. Yeah, I really don't think of a reason. So.
Okay. So let's go ahead and get your contacts roll. See what you got.
All right. What is that? 3d6.
Yes. Oof. Alrighty. So with a high roll of 2, I decide your fate, but you may suggest something suitably negative as well. Or no. Or. So either I can decide your fate, or you can suggest something suitably negative.
You can go ahead and decide the fate.
All right. So you try to call up the Kremlin. Well, you try to text Putin, and you accidentally you send a message saying, "Hey, I'm down here in Whitesville, looking for some information on whatever." And it's probably not Putin. It's probably whatever paranormal scientist you've got contacts with up there. And you say, here in Whitesville, looking for some information on a haunting in the Finger Lakes, hoping you have information. And then you hit the send button. But right as you're hitting the send button, you look up at the top of your phone and you realize that you're sending it to the mafia guy who's been sending you threatening messages and is trying to find you to break your knees and get money out of you. And you just told him where you are. You even included a pin of your current location as part of the message.
Well,
and about
not good.
About 10 minutes later, you get 3 simple words in response. Good to know.
Well.
All right, Lavina,
Shit.
you walk up and you see a visibly pale Kuzriji staring at his phone in horror.
Well, it looks like someone's not holding up his end of the GoFundMe bargain. So what did you get into this time?
Just some foreign government stuff.
Oh. So I peek around to look at your phone.
And you can see just above his message that has a pin of your current location, A
I'm just
message
looking
that
at
says,
Doc.
"When I find you, I will break your knees, and I will get my money."
I'm just
Oh.
looking at .ru domain.
Well, I guess it's a good thing that we're not going to be in Whitesville tomorrow.
Indeed.
All right, Lavina.
But he does know that we'll be in the Finger Lake.
That's true.
He
I
does.
mean, granted, that's a relatively large area because there are 5 lakes, which is why it's called the Finger Lakes because they look like fingers. But
Mhm.
anyway, it's a relatively large area. But he knows we'll.
That's right. That's what you get when you roll a 2, and let me pick what happens. So, Lavina, are you doing anything to kind of help with the research efforts?
I have a 1 in my brain smarts. I really doubt I'm doing much.
You can
In your
research
brain
in
smart.
plenty of different ways. So if you can think of anything that is character appropriate, that would benefit the team overall.
You just happen to have an ex that lives in the area.
Yeah, because like
And you guys didn't break up on the worst term.
See, he still thinks we're dating.
Okay, yeah. So give me a contacts roll. Let's see what you're able to get.
He should go out there to check things out for us before we can arrive. But then when we get there, he's like zombified or something. That could be cool.
All right. So you get to describe a mostly positive result, but you must include a negative or humorous effect.
So I get off the phone or whatever, and we're in the meeting where we're talking about the research or whatever, and I'm like, so good news. I got a friend who lives up in the Finger Lakes, and he was talking to his friends, and he knows like they've seen some of this haunting and stuff. So I having him type it up and email me, but he's also kind of insisting that we stay at his place, so that'll be fun.
Okay. Perfect. So yeah, that wraps up the research phase. Why don't you go ahead and finish out your meeting? Tell each other what you've learned. Make a plan, and then we're ready to suit up. Which will mean you're going to need to at least have a working theory on what you think it is, because that's going to change what kind of gear you need to bring with you.
I think we have a legit problem on our hands.
What kind of information did we get from the boyfriend email?
Yeah, so you get a little bit of information from the boyfriend email. He mentioned something very similar. He says he's been hearing strange noises coming from the lake. These weird lights keep floating over top, and he says that one of his friends went over to check it out. And they found him the next morning lying in a bush, completely pale and drained entirely of blood.
That's
He also
intense.
expresses some confusion. He's like, "That was a winery? Next to the lake? Huh."
So he seemed to think that the winery wasn't a winery, it would seem. Maybe they're not dumping wine in that.
Duh, they're
But
obviously dumping blood.
So yeah, I'm sticking with my corn theory. And I'm not talking about the children.
I concur.
All right. So you guys are going on the assumption that it's a demon. Sounds like. So what kind of gear are you gonna pack into the trailer behind your Winnebago?
We obviously need a crucifix.
Yeah. Anything labeled with anti-demon.
Well, I wear a crucifix at all times. If you guys aren't, then you're not using the kits I gave you.
So yeah, let's get a tech roll for those kits that you give everybody. And then, as always, if you want to bring in your skill for a bonus die, just all you need is an explanation of how it would apply. A
Since I give
reasonable
out the kits,
explanation.
do I roll?
Yes.
Because, like, it's my kit that I
Yep.
use.
No, that's you. Wilhelm will be making a tech roll.
Okay. Well, in my study at Miskatonic, I've learned all sorts of things about the horrible demons and creatures and things that prowl the night out there.
All right.
So
So you're well prepared when
I
it
am
comes to
well prepared for that sort of thing.
Perfect. All right. You get a bonus die. And then, of course, if you want to spend out of your cards, you can spend dice out of the credit card if you want additional bonus die. But with a 5, no need. So let's go ahead and throw another franchise die on there that you just earned. And why don't you tell me what all's in these kits? You can describe with no downsides. You there?
Maybe.
We'll back.
Okay. So I need you to describe what's in these kits. Or was he trying to say he would be right back? All I caught was the word back.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he cut out a little bit.
He's probably chasing down a screaming child.
Probably.
So let's just keep going until he gets back. Um, so you've got the kits. What other gear are you going to bring? You can bring guns. You can bring grenade launchers. I mean, you have access to military hardware, obviously.
Well, we need silver bullets in case of vampires.
Mhm. And I think silver bullets are also supposedly effective against demons.
Right.
So yeah, so you're bringing some sort of guns with silver bullets. What kind of guns are these?
Well, standard issue military hardware, so some M16 semi-automatic automatics.
Perfect.
Oh yeah, but
let's
just
get a,
with silver bullet ammunition.
let's get a tech roll for those.
Yeah, exactly. Whoops, wrong window.
Nice, a 6. All right, so let's give you a couple more franchise dice, and yeah, so you were able to grab some of the top of the line military hardware. You've been going through it. Some of your stuff is not in great shape, but you picked through and you found a few of the most functional guns in your stash.
Exactly.
So you're bringing some actually pretty effective guns with plenty of ammunition. Maybe a few holy water grenades, some stuff like that.
Right. So it'd be very effective if what we are up against is what we thought it was.
Yep. And you're up to 5 franchise dice, so you're actually already a quarter of the way to solving this mystery. So then, Lavina, are you bringing any gear for this? We may have also lost Rebecca.
It's a possibility.
And it looks like Wayne is actually off the chat entirely.
Yeah,
So.
he went off the Discord.
Yeah, he's probably restarting either the computer or something along those lines. Alright, he's back online. And hopefully Rebecca will also be back soon.
Can you hear me?
Yay, you're back.
Yeah, we had a bit of a fiasco there for a second. Sorry.
Yeah, I thought that might have been the case.
I've been carving a spoon by hand, and I was working on it while we were role playing, and I was keeping them far up on the desk, like right in front of me, and I still don't know how, but Charlie grabbed one of them and was halfway across the room with it when we noticed.
Nice.
And they are like, shave yourself sharp, because
Right.
my dad sharpened them, and he's particular about that. Anyway, we were worried about Charlie, took off to get him, and when I jumped out of my chair, the hotspot went flying across the room and the battery popped out of it.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, I figured it was something along those lines. So
it was like a disaster. It was slow motion camera time.
Yeah, but you averted the crisis.
Yes.
So with a roll of 5, you got a franchise die, and then you get to describe what's in your kits that you've made for everybody.
Holy water, silver crucifixes, silver bullets, all the typical wares that you'd have for different types of mythical creatures.
Garlic?
Although they're real in this world, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
garlic,
there's garlic.
Uh-huh. Perfect. And then do we have Rebecca back online now?
The computer is back online, but she's currently doing other things, so she'll be back soon.
Okay. Then let's go ahead and wrap up. So now you've suited up, you've gathered your gear, and you drive out to the Finger Lakes. So you take off in your Travato, going down a lot of small, kind of narrow rural roads, so lots of hills and trees. It's hard to see very far ahead of you as you're wending your way around. Thankfully, Wilhelm is familiar with the area, both from many maps that he's looked over, but then also he lived here for some time and is able to navigate you without too much trouble. And when do you take off time wise? So it's about a 2-hour drive to get up to the Finger Lakes.
I missed a little bit of that. So, like, what time did we get the call and such?
It's up to you guys. Let's say you got the call around 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
And then you guys probably spent a couple of hours getting all your stuff together. So it'd be about 6 before would be the earliest that you could leave.
I think we should be leaving at 6. But I don't know if anybody else has another opinion.
So it's later in the year. It's let's say October 27th, just to pull a number out of a hat that has no relation to like the current date. And the area has already seen the first couple of snows, so the roads are a bit slick and wet as you guys are heading out. You have the air conditioner, or not the air conditioner, the heat in the bolt on full blast, keeping yourselves nice and toasty. Presumably, Lavina drives, as it's her vehicle, and I doubt she wants either of you chuckleheads at the wheel.
We're not in the insurance.
Yep. So Lavina's at the wheel, and then she probably also refuses to let either of you sit shotgun. So you guys are in the back, kind of sitting at a little bit of a sofa thing. Do either of you believe in seatbelts?
Hey,
I do.
mean, school buses don't have seatbelts. Why do we need seatbelts?
So Wilhelm is sitting over there. As soon as he puts on his seatbelt, Cruzy is just immediately like, nerd alert!
You want to be safe? What a nerd.
So
I'd rather not get to the Finger Lakes as a ghost. Thank you very much.
So then, as you're going along the slick roads, it's dark this time of year. By the time you're about an hour or so out, when there's suddenly something in the road in front of you that gets lit up by the lights. So let's get an athletics check from Lavina.
Rebecca says that she's probably not going to be back today because Charles is being a total fussbuddy,
Okay.
and he only wants her.
Well, I will roll for her real quick then. What has she got in athletics? She's got a 3. All right, so with a 5, it's a solid success. So that actually nets you guys another franchise die. And she swerves out of the way, barely keeping traction on the wheels. She's able to miss whatever it was. And so then you guys kind of Cruzy, being unbuckled, is able to jump from his seat and kind of sprint to the window in the back and take a look. And it's hard to tell if it's just the red light from the tail lights, but it looks like it's a deer, but it's dripping wet, and it seems like it's completely covered in blood.
Get the guns.
So are you going to instruct people to pull over to the side?
Yeah.
All right. So Lavina is able to come to a screeching halt, and you slide the door open. The bracing winter winds whipping across you, causing you to immediately jump for coats and gloves. And as your skin contracts and produces goose pimples, you jump out, and you are now standing next to the still running Winnebago Bolt. Looking back, by the time she was able to stop, you're probably about 100 to 150 feet from where the deer was. And you cannot see that space in the dark.
It was probably nothing.
You're not going to pursue it any further.
It's cold out there, dude.
Stop, jump out in the cold, and you think it was probably nothing.
Probably nothing, dude.
Well,
it's
Aren't
fucking
you
cold.
curious, man?
So Lavina,
Maybe we should check it out.
Lavina pipes
We're still
up.
an hour away.
Lavina pipes up. What is it you think you saw then, Cruz?
Maybe like a rabid squirrel.
It looked to me like a deer, but it was all covered in red, clumpy liquid.
Cruz just has no idea.
Well, I'm
What does
not getting out
Wilhelm
in the
think?
cold, so you guys should go check it out or get back in, one or the other.
All right, we're gonna go check it out.
Okay, so she closes the door behind you guys. Wilhelm and Cruz, I would assume you're taking flashlights and guns.
Nah, we don't need any lights.
You're
Yeah.
just
I have a
using your
flashlight?
phone. You're using the flashlight on your phone.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
Did you bring a gun?
I have
though?
one of. I have one of those flashlights that straps to your head like an old miner's hat.
Okay. All right, so you've got a headlamp, and Cruz is using his phone. And you guys, I would assume, head over to the space where you saw the deer.
Yeah.
All right. So you make your way over, and as you get closer, you can see. You don't see the deer itself, but when you get to the spot, you do see footprints in the snow. Or hoof prints, I should say. And they're in the shape of a deer's hoof prints. Would either of you like to roll probably academics to kind of examine the scene?
I mean, I just think it's
The
a damn
brainy
deer.
one will.
I'm just kidding. Cruz isn't very smart, though.
I mean, you've got a 2 in academics. That's average. That's like mid to high average.
Have you seen the average person?
That's true. All right,
Well, I
let's
mean,
get that roll.
yeah.
I think I rolled, didn't I?
Not that I can see.
I got a 4, a 2, and a 4. A 4, 2, 2, 4.
Oh, that's weird. It
Interesting.
hasn't updated on my screen.
Yeah, try refreshing your window real quick. Okay, and then roll again. Alright, now it's showing that you're typing.
Yeah.
Let's see. It actually goes through now. Maybe. Did you roll on your end?
I'm having on the game board really quick, but
Oh, there we go.
there it goes.
Nice.
So somehow my keyboard was switched to German. So when I would hit the slash for the R, it was putting in a dash.
Nice. All right. So we got 2 6s in there. So let's give you a couple of franchise dice. So what you see is footprints coming up to where the deer saw out of the woods. And then you see these giant, like skid marks. Oh, I should say, so the hoof prints are all red, like they're just dripping. And when you examine it, it does seem to be blood, fresh blood. In fact, it's steaming from still being warm. And then when you get to the point where the deer was in the road, suddenly there's a giant, like elongated splash, almost as if you had slammed into a bunch of water balloons filled with blood with the Travato, or not the Travato, the bolt, and splashed the blood all down along the road. But then there's no footprints after that. Nowhere that the deer could have gone. And then you can take your description from there.
It's probably just hunting season.
I have like a old timey doctor's leather bag, like old doc whoever would take to the to your house and check on you with.
Mm-hmm.
I pop it open, and I put some of the red, not touching with my hands, of course, into a vial in there that's for testing blood types.
Mm-hmm.
Does anything happen?
So it's like it tests what blood type you put in.
Yes.
So it's O negative.
Which means that it is blood, which is what I was checking for.
Yep, it
Okay.
is in fact blood. But there's nothing else. There's no hair. There's no bits of anything. It's not at all what you would expect if you had actually hit an animal.
It's also odd because if it was a deer, it shouldn't have human type blood, right?
Yep.
I think that's how that works.
I
Okay.
don't know. We're gonna go with yes.
Okay, cool. Damn it, I forgot your name already. Hey,
Cruz Rigi.
CEO!
His name is Cruz Rigi, but most people just call him Cruz.
Cruz Ricci! Cruz!
Yeet.
I think we need to check out see if there's any of this stuff on there.
All Cruz says
See if
in
there's
reply.
anything left of the
Yeet.
deer. Yeet!
All right, so you're going back to examine the front of the vehicle.
Yes.
Okay.
Alright, talking head time.
Okay, cool. So we cut to Wilhelm, sitting in his library, lounged comfortably on a large leather chair with big old arms that are carved in the shape of lions' heads.
Hardcore.
And I'm smoking a pipe, of course.
Yes, pushing your glasses up on your nose before you begin.
So here we are with Cruz, out in the middle of nowhere, freezing our
Say fucking
balls
cold.
off.
Freezing our peeps off.
It's looking like The Thing out here. You know what I'm talking about? Like John Carpenter's The Thing? It's looking like that kind of shit out there. And Cruz is just looking around with that shit-eating grin on his face saying, yeet. I'm going to yeet his ass.
Just start to think if, like, am I even...
Well,
and then do you want to establish anything other than just your opinion about Cruz?
Cruz acts all tough and everything, being, working with the Russians or whatever. But I know that he wets his pants every time he thinks about that mafia guy.
I think he might be on to us because of that phone call, dude.
All right. So go ahead and note down on your sheet pants sweater as one of your characteristics.
My God.
As that has now been established. Okay, so you guys are walking back over to the front of the vehicle, and somehow, as you examine it, it's completely clean, at least as far as blood goes. Obviously, there's dirt and grime and snow and slush all over it, but no blood. Not on the tires, not on the front of the vehicle, nowhere.
All right. Well, at least
It's a good thing my car's okay.
Yeah. At least the car
Exactly.
wasn't damaged. Shit's expensive.
Can you guys catch her up on what happened? I'm gonna take care of something real quick.
Cool. Yeah, so basically what happened is they went back to examine the spot, and where they had seen the deer, there were bright red, steaming footprints of fresh blood leading out of the woods. And then in the spot where the deer was standing in the road, there's a giant elongated splash, like if the vehicle had run into a bunch of water balloons filled with blood. And then nothing. So there's no fur, there's no bits of antler, there's nothing that would have indicated like actually hitting the deer for real. And then when they examined the car, as you already heard, completely clean. Well, of blood. And then
Told you it was a rabbit and a squirrel, dude.
And then Lavina declined to get out of the car in the cold, so they went out alone.
So we went out alone in the cold, and all our CEO can say is "you." So I do one of those talking head things and outed that he wets his pants every time he thinks about the Russian.
So we now have
I hope
Cruz.
he's wearing a diaper in my car then.
Yes. So then, as you guys are confirming this, and Lavina is saying worriedly, "Good, my car had better be clean." Um, you hear rustling coming from the woods around you, in multiple places.
Let's go yeet those vampires.
What do you do?
What did we hear?
Rustling coming from the woods. It's like a number of mid to large sized somethings are moving through the woods toward you. The sounds are definitely getting louder.
It's Bigfoot. If you hold perfectly still, you'll be safe. I roll the windows up and lock the door.
They can't see
Lock
us
them
if we
out.
don't move.
I'm gonna try to get back in the car and find out that it's.
Okay.
I'm just gonna stand outside and go yeet.
So you see, coming out of the woods, several by the lights of the vehicle. You all see several animals. They look a lot like the deer did. So it looks like animals who are just covered in a bunch of um, partially dried red blood. It's all clumpy and gross looking. But you can see two bears, another deer, and then probably a couple dozen squirrels. And they're all walking out in this kind of staggering, confused manner directly toward you. And I would like everyone to make me a 2-die stress roll. So go ahead and roll 2d6s. Oof, not good.
Not great.
Shite.
No, that's the worst you could do.
Cruz has a fucking heart attack.
And I need one from everybody, not just Cruz. Okay, that's better, and that's also not great. All right, so for Cruz, you have a complete and total nuclear meltdown. You lose your cool if you have any, which you don't.
Dude, it's the mafia.
You lose a number of dice, skill dice, equal to the number of stress dice you rolled. So you're going to lose 2 points, either 2 from 1 or 1 from 2 different skills. So this is where you're going to lower the current column and leave your max column where it is.
Well, I'm going to drop 1 for athletics.
And then if you reduce anything to a 0, that means you are completely incapable of doing anything.
Okay. Well, actually, you know what? Let me leave that then. I'm going to drop... Ah, man.
So why don't you give that a little thought while I tell everybody else. So with a 2, person's name I forgot again, Lavina, you are frazzled, so you're going to lose 2 dice from an appropriate skill or 1 die from 2 different skills. So basically the same, except you're not having a meltdown. So you are stressed and you're going to be worse at those 2 things. Cruz is actually like freaking the F out. And then Wilhelm with a 4. You are actually only just annoyed. So you suffer a 1 penalty die on your next skill roll. So whatever your next roll is, you take a penalty die on it, but you don't take any permanent damage. I mean, none of these are permanent. They can be healed after your mission is over, but you're not going to take any die penalties that last more than just after that single roll. Melina. Lavina, why can I not remember your name?
To be fair, it is the weirdest thing that you keep calling me Melina because I have another character called Melina, and I'm just like, what?
So, Lavina.
It's Lavinia.
Is it? How do you want me to pronounce it, Rebecca?
Is there any love in ya?
Rebecca, tell me how to say your name.
Everybody, Tina.
Okay.
Because
So
Liv too stuck up.
okay. So Lavina. Cool.
Your parents named you Lavinia, but you go by Lavinia.
Just out of spite.
There you go. So Lavina, what are you going to be taking in as your 2 damage areas? Or stress.
Took 1 out of athletics and 1 out.
What was the second one? You kind of cut out.
Contacts.
Okay. So suddenly you're just not feeling as in the mood to talk, and when you saw them, you actually kind of freaked out and tried to switch the car into gear, but you missed and sprained your wrist a little bit as you kind of slammed your fist into the dashboard. And then Cruz.
I took forget which ones. I took 1 out of technology and 1 out of contacts.
Okay. Yeah, so mostly you're just freaking out. You're probably not very decipherable at the moment, kind of babbling a bit, and you definitely 100% wet your pants. It's just like a fountain running down your leg right now.
Oh my god.
So then, Wilhelm, you're checking the door. You're annoyed, not actually terribly freaked out by this whole situation.
Worse.
And you check the door and it's locked. So just click, 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 click as you try to pull the door open.
Ah, shit. Lavinia, open the door!
I go ahead and I reach over and I unlock that 1 door.
Okay. So
I look
presumably
over
the
at
sliding
Cruz.
door on the side.
What did he say?
Is it the sliding door on the side?
No, it's the other front door.
Okay. So you have
Passenger door. Okay.
you have the passenger side door open now.
Where's Cruz standing?
Oh, I'm just out front going yeet.
He's just going yeet, yeet, yeet.
No, I mean,
yeet,
like, are
in a
you in
more and
front of
more
the car
panicked
or the
voice.
side of the car? Like, where?
I am
'Cause
right beside the passenger side door.
Okay, so we're close. Okay, so you're pretty much just frozen in place, right?
Yeah, I'm frozen in fear, dude.
Okay, as soon as the door is unlocked, I fling it open and I try to throw you into the passenger seat.
All right, let's get an athletics roll for that.
Shazbot, we're all gonna die.
Nice. All right. So with a 6, let's get you 2 more franchise dice. And why don't you describe?
Am I earning any cool for all of this? Because I've been rolling 6s.
You earn cool for 6s on stress rolls, but it's
Didn't
hard
he
to
get a
do.
6 on his other stress roll?
But it has to be your lowest result. So you have to roll a 6 as your lowest die on a stress roll. Cool is hard to get. It's very powerful, but it's hard to get.
Okay, cool. Anyway.
So why don't you describe how not only do you succeed, you do it to an extent that you have somehow furthered your investigation.
Somehow further the investigation.
Yeah, because you just got 2 franchise dice.
The animals, and we learned something from this.
Hopefully we don't learn that touching them is infectious.
But you gain 2 franchise dice. That means that you're now, what would that be, 10% closer? Yeah, 10% closer to solving the entire thing.
Well, I'm gonna grab him and throw him in the passenger seat, and my intention was to then jump in on top of him and slip back into the back of the vehicle as the door closes.
Okay.
But that won't really further the investigation, so I guess I'll go with what Rebecca suggested and say that we end up kicking one of the animals in the process.
Okay.
And see what happens.
So you kick it, and the thing where you kick it in the face just kind of splits and splashes blood across the ground. Somehow it doesn't seem to get your foot dirty at all, though. It just kind of slides off it like some sort of a non-Euclidean liquid. And you see its face just kind of ripple and splash, and then slowly starts to kind of like reform before you slam the door closed. But where you kicked it, there was no impact with like a solid object. It wasn't like bone or flesh. It was like kicking against like putty.
Okay, so its body started to reform, not the blood that fell on the ground, right?
Yeah. So its face started to take back the shape of a bear.
Yeah.
Where you had just completely like blown off the muzzle and the front of its face.
Ooh, I kicked a bear in the face. A
But
bear
then-
made of blood. I feel badass.
And then as its face reforms, you actually see its overall form get slightly smaller.
Interesting. Cool. So now we're all in the car.
Yep, door's closed. Creatures
and
are
the
still
door's
coming.
closed. I'm gonna go ahead and lock the door just because paranoia, and just I'm gonna tell Lavinia, Lavinia. I keep wanting to say Lavinia.
Whatever your name is.
I keep wanting to say Lavinia. Lavina, get the car moving. Come on, let's go.
Right,
I'm definitely already in the process of trying to do that.
Yeah, so what do you think? Do you think that is a tech and athletics?
At least I have a 2 in athletics. I only have a 1 in tech, so let's not do tech.
Cool. So let's do athletics.
It's athletics.
Buy a rack, and you didn't do that.
What? Because
Also, I
she's
should
so
say,
good with.
you guys, her personality is not going to help in this case. But you can help characters with their roles. So if you do this, what you can do is you can say you're helping, explain how. You can roll for your action, and then give her one of your dice. So, like, let's say she rolled 2 dice and got a 2 and a 3, and you rolled 2 dice and got a 2 and a 6. You could give her the 6, and that counts as her success.
I'll be right back.
Can we say that I know some tricks about how an internal combustion engine vehicle functions in the snow that could help us to speed off really fast?
Sure, let's say
Or would
let's
that
say
be more
that
like a technical thing? Because,
let's say that she tries to start up the car and floods it, and so now it's stalling, and you're helping with what needs to happen to get it going again.
Damn it, Lavinia.
What was that? What was that? That's my lights bill coming out. What'd you say, boy?
Where are you at? Sure. So let's go ahead and get a roll from Wilhelm. That would probably be a tech roll.
Right.
And then Lavina, if you can give us an athletics roll. And the Cruz is still just sitting in the in a puddle of his own urine, going yeet, yeet.
With a bottle of Jack Daniels.
Where did you pull that from?
Don't put it in the cabinet before we left. Knew we'd be
You added it to my supernatural.
Yeah.
And then Wilhelm, let's get your roll.
I did. It was a 4.
Your roll didn't come through again. Well, at least there's a 4 in play. So, why don't you go ahead and describe the mostly positive outcome, but there must be some negative or humorous effect, Rebecca.
How was Wilhelm helping me drive?
So when you
I was
started the car, the engine flooded, and so it was stalling, and so he was like giving you advice about no, you flooded it, you gotta let it breathe now, and then give it a couple seconds. Okay, now try it again now,
yeah, trying to help you get it unflooded. So I helped her get it unflooded, but while I was gesticulating wildly, I ended up doing a brush of her boobs, and she gave me a really bad glare. That means that I'm going to have to pay for that later.
Okay, well we can still say that happened, but it's Lavina's success, so she needs to describe the action.
Oh,
But we can still say that also happened.
okay.
So while I'm wavingly wildly at Wilhelm's hand, I end up backhanding him in the and finally get the car going and definitely run over a couple more animals intentionally.
Holy shit.
So for being backhanded in the face, Wilhelm, let's get a stress roll. This is going to be a 1 die. See if
Watch,
she
this will be the one that breaks me.
yeah. See if she backhanded you and got you right in the eye with her ring. And we still can't see your dice, so here we go. A 6. Nice. You just earned a point of cool. So why don't you describe well, I guess I still describe the result on this one because it's not a skill roll. So give yourself a point of cool. So that is going to be something you can spend that to get a bonus die. You can now ignore the lowest die result on any stress rolls, which includes any 1 die things like this. You're now just like, I'm too cool for this, and then you ignore it. Now you can't gain a cool die because now you're just ignoring that die. But still pretty helpful. So you get backhanded across the face, and you just take it like a man and feel like you deserved that for the boob the boob touching. And so you just it actually calms you down. It's like you were a bit of a panic before, but now you actually feel calmer than you did.
Gee, I wonder why.
On the other hand,
Definitely not a masochist or anything.
on the other hand, Cruz is still in the background. Can't say anything but eat. Just
Maybe you should smack
pounding Jack
Cruz.
Daniels. So you peel out. You're about.
Great. He's going to be drunk when we get there.
I mean,
Stumbling a little bit.
he was probably drunk before you left.
Yeah. I just kept
We should have established that he's an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Well, he's already been assigned the one thing he could be given as part of a confessional. So let's cut to Lavina as a confessional, kind of in this interim between peeling out and what comes next. So Lavina, you are sitting at a counter in a bar. There's a crackling fireplace going kind of in the background, and a guy wearing kind of a waiter's outfit with a bow tie, polishing a glass behind you. And you are nursing a just comically oversized margarita Um,
Well, as you've all clearly totally earned this, and I gesture to the giant margarita, because I was not drinking and driving, despite the temptation of the Jack Daniels in the back. So, young drivers and old drivers alike, please remember, don't drink and drive.
And then do you want to establish anything about the situation, about one of the other characters, foreshadow something?
I mean, I wasn't here for most of it, so I kind of don't know.
I mean, just have fun with it. Like, you can either describe something that happened before and it becomes real. You can describe something that's going to happen and it becomes real. Because remember, these are filmed out of order. So you could be talking about something all the way from the end of the investigation or just a couple minutes in the future, whatever you want to do.
Turns out, crew saved the
I don't know.
Alright, that's fine. So yeah, we cut back to a panicked van full of people, and Lavina just slamming on the gas pedal, peeling out, running over several more of these creatures, leaving long trails of blood across the ground. And they don't seem to chase you. Looking out the window, they kind of look more confused than anything else, and then after a few minutes, they disappear into the darkness behind you. And you guys are about 15 minutes away from, what is your boyfriend's name, Lavina?
Alfred.
Okay, you're about 15 minutes away from Alfred's house. Alfred is an avid big game hunter. He has a cabin not too far away from the lake in question, and you pull up in front. It's a mid-sized affair. It's built kind of in a style where it looks to be kind of a log cabin, but it's clearly actually got modern amenities. Um, and as you come pulling up, Alfred comes out smiling warmly. He's dressed in kind of a logger's outfit with a cap with like the ear protectors and a bunch of plaid and very warm flannel looking clothing. And goes, Lavina! Or no, no, it was the what's his name? The I forget. Anyway, it was the Winnebago guy who had the cowboy accent. So yeah, this guy is just gonna be like, "Hey, Lavina, how's it going, girl? I ain't seen you in ages."
Hola,
Wait,
¿cómo está?
is this the same guy who sold me the van?
No. No, the van guy had, or do you want it to be? It could be.
I don't know. I was just confused by the cowboy accent.
I was not trying to do one this time.
Oh,
At least not a
okay.
very strong one. But it could be. I mean, actually, that would be fine. Do you want to have had a short-lived relationship with the Winnebago guy? One which he doesn't believe actually quite ended. Okay, so he's like, "Hey, Lavina, it's so good to see y'all. My accent is all over the place. It's so grand to see y'all. I'm just so happy you could make it here. His dogs are coming up. He's got a couple of fairly large dogs. It looks like one of them's a Great Dane and another one's like some sort of pincher mix. They both look fairly formidable, but well trained. So he calls them to heel. He says, "Brutus, Barky, these are friends. Don't bother them." And then comes around to the driver's side, arms wide open, clearly going for a hug. "I'm so glad to see you, Lavina. It's been ages."
Oh, it's so good to see you two. Hug, but a tiny bit to the side, and then I redirect my attention to the dogs and be like, "How are you, boys?"
Woof, 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 lick, 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 lick. Very
I give them
excited.
little scratchies and like, "Aw, you guys are just so cute."
Okay. So we're actually up on about
Texan
the
guy starts to look at
two.
the dogs jealously.
I feel like Wilhelm is looking at the dogs jealously. Yeah, so we're coming up on 2 hours, and the mystery is about halfway solved. Do you guys want to take a break here and then presumably pick this up another time, or do we want to keep going?
Let's go ahead and call it here. I feel like getting to the cabin's probably a pretty good like stop and up point, and I'm sure we'll have other times where we're missing players.
All right.
You're probably right.
So as you're scratching the dog, suddenly off in the distance, you hear a howl. At first, you think it's wolves and dismiss it, but then after a few seconds, it becomes clear that it's not a wolf. It seems to be the high-pitched wails of perhaps a woman. It's hard to make out, and you can see several red lights kind of flickering off to the northwest of the cabin, and Alfred just gets a very concerned look on his face and says, "Well, y'all folks better get inside here pretty quick. This ain't a good sign."
Cruz's pupils are just dilated like whoa.
And you all look worriedly off in that direction, and then cut to black. And then the narrator. Actually, why don't we get one last confessional from each of you? So let's start with Cruz. It cuts to you. You're sitting in a large leather revolving chair. There's a computer kind of off next to you, and you're kind of holding a spread or like a clipboard with a few documents on it. And, you look up at the camera.
It was at this moment that I realized I had to put that bottle aside and become the hero that I was always going to be.
And then we cut to Lavina. Same setting as before, but the margarita is about half empty at this point.
Well, I know it's not always the most, smiled upon thing, but keeping old relationships open sure has a lot of benefits, as you will clearly see.
And then we cut to Wilhelm once again in his chair. Are you? Do you also have a drink? Do you have some sort of whiskey in a tumbler that you kind
I
of
think we all
swirl
brought our
around?
own bottles.
No, I just have that pipe going, and there's a big old cloud around my head.
There we go.
The question is, what's in the pipe?
Oh, you know.
420, blaze it up. All right, so yeah, you've got this great thick cloud of smoke around you. You've got your lighting set up to be kind of backlit so that you look all mysterious. You're pretty happy with this effect.
I don't take mind-altering things besides, what I've got in my pipe.
Which could
is
be anything.
tobacco, by the way.
He'll put anything in his pipe.
Which is tobacco, by the way. Yeah, that cruise, huh? Interesting. And Lavinia. Whew.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. All I can say for sure is things are about to get really real.
Alrighty. And then it cuts to black. The words "to be continued" are splashed across the screen, and the narrator comes on. Well, our heroes are really in a predicament now. They're not sure what it is this time. Seems to be some sort of strange blood goblins or something.
Hence the Jack Daniels.
Let's see if they can get themselves out of this scrape next time on Ghost. And then it cuts to commercial. And it's a commercial, and it's like
Theme song plays.
it's just a commercial. Do you have gross, oily skin? Are you perhaps worried that you might be a fish person? Well, we have the product for you. We have a 2-in-1 descaler and de-gross oilifier. Rub this on your skin 3 times a day, and we guarantee in no time, even if you are a fish person, you'll look like a normal person. Use Scaly Oil Cream. So yeah, let's do our little wrap up and then take off. So let's start with Cruz. What has Cruz learned?
Cruz has learned that he is terrified of the basics, and he doesn't know if he's cut out for the Ghost team, but he has confidence that he'll be able to put his alcoholism aside and assist where he needs to.
All right. What has Wilhelm learned?
Being the smartest person in the group means that you're always surrounded by idiots.
Okay, and what
Like Sherlock
has
Holmes kind of a thing.
what has Lavina learned?
That old guys are as they may appear to be.
All right. So yeah, that was our session. I'm sure we'll pick up this game another time. Thank you guys for joining me, and I will see all of you next time. Bye!
Alrighty.